least a few light years across.
Just click, got it.
Happened?
Just click on it. make
Jeff
sure.
got there.
Got it?
Yeah, that's
A
what we're
little
trying to
late,
get
but
going
we
here.
got it.
There you go. And there you have Sirius has a brightness that is about 20 times more than the sun, and also a temperature that exceeds it by about 4,000 K. Understand that Sirius is unlikely to explode. It's a big star, and I mean a moderately big star, but it could explode. It has just enough mass, but again, it's more likely to end its life as a neutron star than it is as a black hole. That's kind of the line that we're looking at. And again, there's a little bit of speculation in everything I'm telling you because we don't know it all of it, okay? But we know most of it, pretty good at it. Okay, let's move on.
So just click should work.
Which one?
Just click in the screen. So just click right there.
Oh, I see, okay. Moving on. Okay. Now, these fusion reactions begin with two protons fusing, followed by subsequent beta decay, to get a proton and a neutron. And we call this a deuteron, which is the nucleus of heavy hydrogen. These deuterons are involved in reactions that make helium, which has two protons and two neutrons. Such a star will continue in this manner for billions of years, slowly fusing all of the hydrogen in its core into helium, maintaining a relatively steady size, temperature, and luminosity as it does so, until almost all the hydrogen is gone. Here things really begin to change. The core of the star will shrink and get hotter, which makes the remaining hydrogen burn even faster. And all of that extra energy being generated will radiate outwards and push the outer layers away from the core. As the outer layers expand, they cool and thus become more and more red. And the star climbs up the red giant branch until we have a red giant star. Star can maintain this new status for a little while longer, around 1 billion years. But after almost all of the hydrogen is gone, the core gets even smaller and even hotter. At this stage, a phase called Helium Flash. Things are so hot that the star is able to fuse these heavier helium nuclei into larger nuclei like carbon and then oxygen through something called the triple alpha process. And this means that the star has a whole new source of fuel in all the helium it has been making for billions of years. You can see the picture on this. There you have a main sequence star, red giant after the helium burning begins. Star begins pulsating as it runs through its final energy reserve, entering what we call the horizontal branch. And in this time, it becomes smaller, hotter, and bluer until much of the helium has been fused into larger nuclei. It's an interesting chart. You can see the main sequence there. You can see the horizontal branch. Now, once the core is predominantly carbon and oxygen, with just a shell of helium around it and a shell of hydrogen around that, the star has very little material left to burn. So the core will collapse and the star enters the asymptotic, asymptotic it's called actually, giant branch. This means it will grow rapidly and become a giant star again until the last burst of energy eject the outer layer, pushing it away from the core and back into the interstellar medium, leaving only a tiny, very hot, bare core behind, around the size of the Earth. This will gradually cool as it has no more fuel to burn, not being hot enough to fuse carbon or oxygen nuclei, and it will contract further until we are left with a white dwarf star. The ejected shell is called a planetary nebula, which is misleading since it is not a planet and did not come from a planet, but the name originated from confusion upon its discovery, and it stuck. The material in a planetary nebula will then become available to join more gas particles to form yet another star. They say that our star is probably in the range of a third or fourth generation star from the beginning, since it's only 5 billion years old. What was there before? Well, obviously, it takes some time to develop a star by the gravity of the stuff that's out there. And again, our star is very rich in a lot of elements, as are we. And the reason is because they have gone probably the result of several blown up stars, which continue to produce these heavier elements. For a high mass star, one's much more massive than our sun, things are quite different. Their demise will not be so quiet. Big stars go out with a bang. Things start out normally with a gas cloud collecting under the influence of gravity. It is simply that this cloud will be much larger than those that form low mass stars, so it will contain much more mass. More mass means more gravity, which means the force pushing inward is much stronger and the star gets much hotter. A hotter temperature means faster fusion, which generates greater outward pressure to counteract the greater inward pull of gravity. This produces a main sequence star that is hot, big, bright, and blue. This is where things start to go differently from low mass stars. Whereas low mass stars take billions of years to use up all their fuel, high mass stars are much hotter and burn their fuel much faster. This means they use up all the hydrogen in their core in around just a fleeting 100 million years or so, or even 10 million years if the star is large enough. As the fuel starts running out, the core contracts and heats, producing more energy, so the star will swell up into a giant star, just like we saw for low mass stars. However, while the core of a high mass star continues to compress, it gets much hotter than the core of a low mass star, and it becomes able to fuse helium nuclei to form carbon, and then oxygen, and then neon, and then silicon. Each heavier nucleus being relegated to a smaller and smaller region of the core that is hot enough to fuse it. All the way at the center sits the heaviest element that can be fused within a star, and that is iron. As this core occurs in these different layers, each performing a particular type of fusion until no fuel remains, the star is left with a core of iron nuclei that are so stable that further fusion can release no more energy. Here is where gravity wins the fight. The star collapses within a single second, the outer layers bouncing off the core.
Yeah, we're good.
Good, thank you. Here's where gravity wins the fight and the star collapses into a single second. Within a single second, the outer layers bouncing off the core and triggering an explosion, thus ejecting all the heavy nuclei the star has created out into space. This awesome event, one of the most violent and energetic phenomena in the universe, is called a supernova. Supernova generates such an unbelievable burst of energy that a brief moment, dozens of elements heavier than iron can also be synthesized. Nickel, copper, zinc, silver, gold, any element with an atomic number greater than 26 is made either in a supernova or a rare event like the collision of two neutron stars, or a neutron star in a black hole, which are objects which we will discover. Oh, sorry, move that. That where we were? Neutron star and a black hole, which are objects we will discuss in a moment. That's why these heavy elements are so rare compared to elements like carbon and oxygen, because stars can't synthesize them the way they can synthesize all the elements up to iron throughout their long lives. Nature only makes these rare elements during the death of a high mass star or in certain exotic collision events. Supernovae are also so bright, they are brighter than the entire galaxy in which they live. And viewed through telescopes, and if in our own galaxy, they can be visible with the naked eye, like the one that generated the famous Crab Nebula, which was recorded by a variety of civilizations in the year 1054. The supernova does not leave behind a white dwarf. Okay, there we go. There's our Crab Nebula. Now, lower mass stars that begin with less than about 8 solar masses leave behind white dwarfs because once reduced to its lighter Earth-sized core, there is not enough gravity to overcome electron degeneracy pressure. In other words, a white dwarf will become kind of like one gigantic metallic solid with electron clouds around it, and the nuclei pushing against each other and preventing additional collapse. This object is very dense, with 1 teaspoon weighing around 15 tons. So below about 1.4 solar masses, the maximum mass of a white dwarf, which is also known as the Chandrasekhar limit, this is the fate of the core of a star. But for the high mass star, where upon its death, the core of the star is above the Chandrasekhar limit, which means it is massive enough for a supernova to occur, one of 2 things will be left behind. The core is between around 1.4 and 3 solar masses, having been generated by a star that was originally somewhere in the ballpark of 10 to 40 solar masses. The core will not be able to support itself against gravity, and it will collapse with such tremendous force that all the electrons get squeezed into protons, such that they combine to form neutrons. And the shock wave from this event is what triggers the supernova. The object that remains is a ball of neutrons bunched up together like one huge atomic nucleus the size of New York City, containing all of the mass originally within the core of the star. A teaspoon of a neutron star would weigh a whopping 10 million tons. Did that come up or not?
So we click it again, see if it,
Why did it not come up?
click it again, see if it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. That was my fault.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Okay, you can see that massive star going to a red giant, and then a supernova, and then either a neutron star or a massive star, black hole rather. Here you have the Earth, the white dwarf, star. Look at the size of that. Our sun. Yeah, I got it. Let's do this. Okay, but even more miraculously, if the core of the star is above around 3 solar masses, even the outward pressure of neutrons pressing against each other, neutron degeneracy pressure, is not enough to stop the immense gravity, and the neutrons will be crushed together as the remaining mass collapses into a single point of infinite density. The entire mass of the star's core contained within 0 volume, this object is called, obviously, a black hole. The outer layers of the star that have been ejected full of heavy nuclei fused during the lifetime of the star, and the additional even heavier ones formed during the supernova, leave behind a colorful nebula. The singularity that is left behind is anything but colorful. The black hole, given its infinite density, warps space-time so much that not even light can escape. Whatever a black hole might look like, if that can even mean anything, we will probably never find out, because it is impossible for photons to leave it and to reach our eyes. It's how we see things. What's that?
It's showing a black hole.
Unless that's a black hole, yeah.
Let me do that.
Oh, no, go forward. There you go.
There you go, that works. Okay. As incredible as this may sound, this is how nature works. And black holes do indeed exist all over the universe as the remnants of huge dead stars. Black holes are so fascinating that they will require a whole chapter unto themselves. And at some point, I'll probably give you one. Let's see if that's it. Okay, we're getting there. All right. Let us now review what we have just learned about the lifetime of a star. A star forms from a gas cloud of some mass, which is almost always between 1/10 of a solar mass and around 30 solar masses. Star is produced somewhere along the main sequence. As the fuel of the core begins to run out, it contracts, which raises the pressure around the core and pushes the outer layers outward, where they will then cool, producing a red giant. All stars will have a red giant phase when their fuel is almost gone, regardless of their mass. Finally, when the star has no longer performed sufficient nuclear fusion, which counters the effects of gravity, the star will collapse, leaving a white dwarf. If it is low mass, a neutron star is intermediate mass, and a black hole if it is especially high mass. Let's see if we can get this to do this. Okay. Let me just see this. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay. Telescopes in space for even sharper images of black holes. Date May 6, 2019. This is the source of the Redbound University Imaging. That word is NIGMEGEN. I've seen it only on this presentation. So astronomers have just managed to take the first image of a black hole a couple of years ago. We actually got another one more recently of our own black hole, which was kind of cool. Now the next challenge facing them is how to take even sharper images so that Einstein's theory of general relativity can be tested. Redbound University astronomers, along with the European Space Agency and others, are putting forward a concept for achieving this by launching radio telescopes into space. They publish their plans in the Scientific Journal of Astronomy and Astrophysics. The idea is to place 2 or 3 satellites in circular orbit around the Earth to observe black holes. The concept goes by the name of Event Horizon Imager, in which in their new study, the scientists present simulations of what images of the black hole Sagittarius A would look like if they were taken by satellite like this, and we've actually done that. I don't know why that just did that. Go on. Okay. This is more than 5 times as sharp. There are a lot of advantages to using satellites instead of permanent radio telescopes on Earth, as with the Event Horizon Telescope, says Freek Roloffs, a PhD candidate at Redbound University and the lead author of the article. In space, you can make observations at higher radio frequency because of the frequencies from Earth are filtered out by the atmosphere. The distance between the telescopes in space are also larger. This allows us to take a big step forward, which would be able to take images with a resolution more than 5 times what is possible with the EHT. Sharper images of the black hole will lead to better information that could be used to test Einstein's theory of general relativity. In greater detail, the fact that the satellites are moving around the Earth makes for considerable advantages. Radio astronomy professor Hino Falke says, with them, you can take near perfect images and see the real details of black holes. And small deviations from Einstein's theory occur, we should be able to see them. The EHI will also be able to image about 5 additional black holes that are similar than the black holes that the EHT is currently focusing on. And of course, the latter are Sagittarius A at the center of the Milky Way, and M87 at the center of Messier 87, a massive galaxy in Virgo cluster. And we're actually doing that now. Technological challenges, the researchers have simulated that they would be able to see with different versions of technology under different circumstances. For this, they made use of models of plasma behavior around the black hole and the resulting radiation. These simulations look promising from a scientific aspect, but there are difficulties to overcome at the technical level. The astronomers collaborated with scientists with ESA ESTAC to investigate technical feasibility of the project. Concept demands that you must be able to ascertain the position and speed of the satellites very accurately. Consideration also has been given to how satellites exchange data. The EHT hard drives with data are transported to the processing center by airplane, That's of course not possible in space. In this concept, the satellites will exchange data via laser link, and the data will be partially processed on board before being sent back to the Earth for further analysis. There are already laser links in space, one of the professors said. Hybrid system, the idea is that satellites will initially function independently of the EHT telescopes, but considerations is also being given to the hybrid system, the orbiting telescopes combined with the ones on Earth. Using a hybrid like this would provide the possibility of creating moving images of a black hole, and you might be able to observe even more and also weaker sources. That comes from Valky. The research is part of the Black Hole CAM project, which is an ERC energy synergy grant awarded in 2013 to a team of European astrophysics to image, measure, and understand black holes. And Black Hole CAM is an active partner in the Event Horizon Telescope collaboration. So there you have them. I guess that's, let's just see what we got here. Hold on a second. Back out of here. Sometimes I wonder why these computers, I have a thing about them. Let me see if we got that. That's it. That's the last phase of it. All right. Are there any questions at all about what we've discussed tonight? Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on the formation of water? When did water form and how did water on Earth?
Well, water is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. What happened on this Earth, we had a couple of things that were kind of slipped into that. Once you get the chemicals in their way, they will attract to one another. And interesting, let's take a good offshoot of that. What are you made up of? Human beings. What are we made up of? Carbon, right? Okay. So is carbon very numerous in the universe? Not particularly. Where does the carbon come from?
I mean, I think that it forms the core of the stars, right?
Exactly right. You got an exploding star and you produce carbon. You produce
Carbon and
also at the
iron.
same time, you produce oxygen around the same time. We are made up of because carbon is the most efficient combiner with other elements. The only one that even comes moderately close is silicon, okay? So a life form would have to be complex. A life form would have to be carbon-based to be able to think and to be able to get to all the things that we do, even to be able to walk like a camel. I don't care. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that life forms are very, very complex. So you need a lot of carbon around in order for this to happen. And carbon will naturally attract to other elements and will become usually bonded. Okay. Now, to get water, all you need is what? Hydrogen and oxygen, right? They're not quite, hydrogen obviously is everywhere, right? But hydrogen doesn't link very well. As a matter of fact, in order to get hydrogen into helium, you got to burn it in the middle of a star, right? So you're not going to have hydrogen-based animal forms or plant forms or any life form. As a matter of fact, another thing that follows that, you would be closer related. If we found other species in the universe, anywhere we would go, you would be closer related to a banana than you would be to any of them. Okay? Because 51% of the DNA that are in the human is in a banana. Really? Well, if DNA is the way to go, that's what it does. Now, what are the chances of them being like us? Not very good chemically. As a matter of fact, people said, well, they'll come and they'll eat us. Well, we may be on the wrong chain. I mean, there's so many things about it that we are a very complex life form. And do they become more complex? I don't know. We don't know that, but they evolve, maybe so. How long have humans been on this planet? Homo sapien, do you know how long they've been here?
100,000 years?
100,000 years. That's all. Dinosaurs were gone 65 million years ago. Okay? We evolved from the dinosaur. We did. But 100,000 years? So you're talking about space that has a lifetime of now 13 billion years. How many life forms can form within that period of time? They're probably everywhere. Okay? But take you, what do we need to live? Humans need to live. Any animal form here. What do we need? Certain amount of oxygen, water,
Oxygen.
gravity, right? How much gravity? What happens if you find a life form that has evolved similar to us through space and the gravity on that planet is 25% greater than ours or 25% less? All
You
right.
get
And
the
how about,
Superman thing.
what's that?
You get the Superman thing.
Right. How about, let's say there's 32% oxygen rather than 20, 22, 21, I don't know. 30% oxygen on the planet. What happens if an intelligent species develops with hands and all the other things in an ocean planet? Are they going to be able to even look outside? We don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to have politics? What are they going to have? So the point is, we're talking about a very, very remote thing, although we've never been visited. And even if we have been visited, that's astounding to me. I can't imagine you can't go faster than the speed of light unless you can break the laws of physics. Well, we can find a way to break the laws of physics. Everything's out the window. But that's not the point. The point is, it's likely the universe is based on physics. Okay. Now, I don't know about the dark matter. I don't know about that. I don't know what's gonna, is that a type of something that can form and produce a life form? We don't know. Okay. But likely it is no. So where does the water come from? Water, we need the water to live. We are actually sea-based species. How much of there is water in you? What is it, 90%? What is it?
I think it's 80 something.
80%, something like that? That's astounding. But what you're doing is you're carrying around an ocean with you, right? So those are all the things that go along with it. And I always tell people that I can answer any question about astronomy that they ask. Not necessarily right, but they're not going to know the difference. But the issue with that is that, I love a club like this, like our clubs, because I have a shirt that I actually, this is one of my favorite shirts. It says, there are two things universal: hydrogen and stupidity. And I'm not all that sure about hydrogen. Okay. That's what you have in the world. And that's what we are. Now, as far as these stars are concerned, how long does a star live? We just talked about that. Take Sirius, for example. Okay. A little bit bigger than we are, right? Our star is going to live a total of 10 billion years. How long is Sirius going to
I
live?
found this on the web for Our Star's Gonna Live.
Okay.
Check it out.
Your tablet's listening to you.
Chat
I gotta tell you.
You asked the question.
I
Yeah.
hate computers. This is the only
I'm with
device that a robot asks you if you're a robot. All right.
Because the guy programmed it.
When I was in the service, I served during the Vietnam era. Very lucky guy that I'm still here. But the point is that we used to make a thing called the time wasted log they wake us up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the shooting range, and the sun wouldn't rise until 9, and you'd sit there. And we wrote this time wasted log. When I got out of the service, I applied it to computers. What used to take us 5 minutes now takes 30. All right. How many times have you heard when you make a telephone call? Listen carefully, because our options have changed and they give you 8 options, none of which apply. Right. So that's the point. But anyway, to get back to the subject matter, and I do have a tendency to run off. Any other questions that you have on this particular subject? Good. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
They've, I guess, some stars that defied the normal path where they seem super giant, but they collapsed and no evidence of a black hole or a neutron star. Do you know if they're any closer to figuring out what could be going on with those particular.
Again, that's another one of the very, very great questions about it. We don't know really exactly when, find out, not too long, find out what it is. A lot of them just turn into dust, for example. In other words, they just dissipate what they do. We've seen that happen also as well. That happens. Stuff just dissipates. And it may be because of something nearby it, something else. Dark matter. Can't see the dark matter, so then maybe that has an effect on it. We don't know that for sure. All right, and are we going anywhere in space? I don't think so. Okay, because if you're gonna go to Mars, you're gonna be there for 4 years. You got 10 months going, 10 months back, 2 years there, because you gotta get back in the unit. Can you live with anybody else for 4 years except for your wife? All right, and you gotta take all your water, you gotta take all your air, you gotta take everything with you, and then you're exposed to all the radiation. And the question is, it's fun to go to Mars. That's like a great thing to do. Where are you going next? Gonna go Jupiter? Really? I don't know. How about out of the solar system? Nope.
Why not? Europa seems pretty cool.
What's that?
Europa seems pretty cool. Why
I
not?
think it
Yeah.
does too, but the problem with Europa is you got Jupiter. And
Yes.
Jupiter is highly radioactive.
500 rem a day.
That's right. So
Not fun.
what are you gonna do? Every one of the ships that we went there made them like tanks in order to protect them. You know that. Okay, and Saturn, I'd love to go to see Titan. That would really be kind of cool.
And some of this.
Cool. And Enceladus is another one, right? That'd be great to do. But it's twice as far away as Jupiter is.
Well, getting blown off of Enceladus when those
Why
things
is
open
Jupiter
up.
so radioactive?
What's that?
Why is Jupiter so radioactive?
Because of because it's got tremendous amount of pressure, okay?
Big
And it
magnetic
built
field.
itself up in lead. If it was 7 times larger, it'd be a star.
Cook dinner.
But it is very, very active chemically.
Proton.
And that's what's
neutron.
going on. And you know that it has 3 poles, don't you?
Well, it's.
North pole, south pole, middle of the planet, there's another magnetic.
Thermal radiation, that would be the
Seriously.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Again,
yeah,
thank you
but
very much for your time. I appreciate being
I'll
here.
split it apart.
Do you have any questions? Zoom audience, any questions?
Oh. Okay, well, for once, Doug, that's like no.
Yeah, I thought Doug would for sure.
Doug, you usually have a question.
Yeah.
Don't negative.
I must have been.
I think they've
I like when
already
I don't have
answered
questions. It
them.
means I covered all the future.
Well, you might have one, yeah.
Okay, good. Go for it.
Nope, maybe not.
That's
Okay.
You tempted him. What did you?
By the way, I will leave my phone number with you guys. You can call me anytime if you have anything. Anybody has a question about something that maybe you can't handle at that point in time, send it over to me. And like I said, if they don't know enough about it, I can tell them anything and we're good.
Even at 3 a.m.
I don't care. I'm an astronomer. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
I've gotten calls and emails from Ken at 3 a.m. I just get up and answer. No, I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah, I'll send the picture over next week.
Somebody
Yeah.
said to me, is it too late to call? I said, never. Never.
You
Thanks again.
didn't say you were gonna answer.
That's
That's
right.
right.
And that's only
Appreciate
correct.
it, Ken.
My pleasure.
Until next
Let me
time.
wrap it up and
So I think last time we got you a gift certificate for a restaurant or
you
something
don't
like
ever
that.
have to do that. This is a lot of fun for me. So you don't have to do anything like that at all for me.
Okay,
That's fine.
if you insist, but
I'm-
we'd like to,
yeah,
so.
well, if you'd like, that's fine.
Hers is a real good place to eat, Ken.
But
Yeah.
really, do you go someplace after we're here?
We do. We usually hit the,
Well, I
Pizza
only,
House.
let's see, I'm a sports official. And I'm doing the President's Day volleyball tournament at Cobo Arena, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, going to 9 o'clock at night.
Mm,
And that's my
Yeah,
other.
we-
I'm working with kids. So.
yeah.
Thanks again.
thank
Go
you.
ahead and run your meeting and we'll
Okay.
just wrap it up.
We're going now.
Alrighty. So
My wife and her friends. Go see them.
I just have one thing to mention, and that is, as you know, we're gonna be moving over to the Detroit Observatory. And we did get an official date, and that's gonna be in April. We just weren't sure before because they thought they might have had something else going on that particular night. But we got the word they're not, so April will be the official move. Also like to remind everybody that April is also elections, which means next month. We can start taking nominations. If anybody's interested in running for any office or position, let us know. We always need more help, so,
Yeah, let us know, Jeff.
yeah.
Menace.
One question,
on meeting at the Detroit Observatory. Now, will we still meet on our third Friday of the month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like everything's saying, just different location.
Okay.
Different location,
Parking there?
different computers to
I was
figure
gonna
out.
say, do you
Yeah.
got, you got
You can
like
make it throw
parking space
stars.
right outside the
Got your
observatory?
name,
reserve?
Doug.
Ooh, got your name on it.
I mean, somebody might have removed it, but.
It's good.
No, we'll send out some information on parking. What we find is it's not really as horrible as we thought it was at one time. It's probably no worse than it is here when it comes right down. It's just a little different.
Parking over there, what I remember from doing Shakespeare in the Arb is that the big lot that's open, like between the Arb and Observatory, that should be free after 6 o'clock.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's telling us over there. There's several of them that you can get in after 6. Another one, there's certain guest spaces and there were a lot of variants. I mean, I found parking right on the street. I just had to park on Observatory down a little ways. But it was no more walk really than if I parked someplace here and walked over there.
Yeah.
And there's some spaces right near the building, if you happen to get fortunate. Some of those were curtained off because they're doing some kind of construction there. But it looks like that's about to wrap up, so I'm thinking those spaces are gonna open back up soon, so. So there were options, but we'll send out some information on that too to help people out, so. But I think you'll like the facility. One good thing too is you don't have to worry about trying to get somebody to let you in the doors over at the fishbowl side or anything. There'll be somebody for the Detroit Observatory actually in the building, either at the door or just a few steps away. To let us in if the door is even locked anyway.
Anymore.
Secret.
Yeah, Mark is here, yes, April's at Detroit Observatory, exactly.
Yes, I can keep my secret.
Go ahead.
One more thing, I'm giving some presentations coming up, on the 16th of March at the Warren Astronomical Society. I'm giving a talk on Percival Lowell. And on the, let's see now, it would be, I'm also going to be, I can't remember the date, but the next a Ford Club, I'm going to give one on E.E. Barnard. So if you're interested in either one of those. And I'm going to, at the end of the month at the Detroit Library, I'm going to be giving another one. I haven't decided which one I'm going to give. It might be Size and Distance in the Universe, which you guys have seen.
Percy's actually our observatory director emeritus. He's never showed up for a meeting.
Really?
Yeah, but we elected him.
But he gets elected every year.
Yeah, exactly.
He never refuses either.
I know, exactly.
But the Percival Lowell it should be fun. He was a very interesting guy.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
The reason the Pluto is named that, by the way, is that Percival Lowell, PL, that's why they picked the name. It's just what it is. Trivia. Thank you, sorry.
no problem. Thank you. Any other questions on Detroit Observatory?
Is it a telescope there? Is it the actual observatory?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. In fact, on a lot of nights, they'll actually be running that and we'll be able to, after the meeting, go up there and check out the telescope also. They've also got some smaller telescopes besides the one that's, the real telescope in the observatory. That they've got some kind of a deck. I haven't really seen that yet, but that's what they were telling us. There's some other ones that can be used too. This is also going to lead to more collaboration, both with them and the Student Astronomical Society. So I could even see us maybe doing joint events there, perhaps, whatever those might be. So I think this is going to be pretty cool. I think you'll like the room too.
Do you know if they ever got the transit instrument working?
They've made it,
I've
heard of it.
I mean, it would move, but I don't think the slit, when last time I was in there, the slit would even open. They had
when I seen it,
sealed that up so it wouldn't rain in or anything.
when I seen it that couple weeks ago, they talked about some of those are set and can be moved and open, and the other positioners on the side to read longitude, yeah. And
Is it still there?
Is what? I'm sure it's
Transit,
there.
Oh, okay.
Well, transit's there on the,
Austin did mention something about it. Do you remember, Jeff? If you can, chime in or not? What he said about the
Sitting there
transit
looking
stuff?
at
I
it.
thought he said it was
He
functioning.
was telling us how it's running and everything.
I don't know if Jeff can.
Not sure. He did put something in
He's
the chat
barely
with
hanging
his
in there at all.
report.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll find out, but I believe that telescope is working. I could be wrong. I thought he said so. Certainly the big
telescope is
instrument for
working.
sure. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Jeff.
Okay, with that, I'll go to officers. Dave.
Yeah, that was, there was a private open house at Detroit Observatory back in November. But if you're familiar with the Detroit Observatory, it used to be, there was the 1854 building on the top of the hill, and that was it. But a couple of years ago, they built a new structure at ground level. And so then you have the classroom right there. And then there's a stairway and elevator that goes up, so you can go up to the whole building.
Where's the new room? Is it east or west?
So that would
It's
be
in-
observatory. So you have
Right
observatory
here.
Yeah,
and
It's
then what's it,
bad.
Ann? I think Dan Street.
and an observatory is where it's at.
Yeah, so it's on observatory.
Ann Street heads to North Campus.
So it's where the old, it's where the 37" used to be, then,
Yeah.
is the new room.
But they've added.
Well, yeah, they, in 74, they tore down part of the building and
But
now
they
they
put
put it
up
back
an-
in.
Yeah. But it's a nice room. They got a nice big, I think it's bigger than that screen.
No, it's big, nice one. Really.
So April, Detroit Observatory, and then May, it'll be over at the
Yeah.
U of M Museum of Natural History. So, yeah, the one minor little thing, I made a little change to the calendar. Before it had said that we had it really strict that, you know, you had to be vaccinated and blah, blah, blah. And it just doesn't seem necessary. anymore. We say masks are strongly encouraged and, you know, if you're sick, you should stay home, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on the email. And it's, yeah, for all meetings, open houses and things.
Yeah, if I change it for this meeting, I don't have to change it for the other meeting.
Pretty much duplicated what the U of M is doing, except for the strongly encouraging masking.
Yeah, and I think Jim, who's on there, chimed in, and I think, and I agree, strongly encouraging masking for those. And, you know, people will, you know, that way we make everyone come. And if you feel sick, staying home as opposed to fighting it, which, you know, pre-2019, I feel fine. Yeah, we just stay home, join on the Zoom. So yeah,
So it looks like Jeff posted something in the chat.
yeah, his report.
Scroll back on the chat.
Jeff, if you're still here, do you accept the nomination for vice president?
Where'd the chat button go?
Well, look in the meeting, where it says meeting chat.
Meeting chat.
It's
Oh, right
already
here. Look to your, look to the right. It's right there. No, that's the meeting chat.
Oh, I got, I'm looking for the button. It's right in front of me.
It's a snake, it would hit.
Okay, I'll be all right.
Age is showing.
Okay,
Just scroll back.
yep. So can everybody read that okay?
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
unblock, they're okay, wait a minute. Heats, okay,
Yeah, he's talking about the new
okay,
website.
yeah, yeah, he told me about that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an email. I'll look in email and basically,
Hmm.
I asked because of the young astronomer.
Click on the one new message. Yeah,
down where it's red, click on the red button. Yep. Do we need to register on the InBlue website to day of the club meeting?
no, not anymore.
Nope.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. No, you don't. They really never check that thing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, for some things they did check it.
Did they?
My work, they
Not
did.
anymore.
They checked it at my work every day.
Do they?
They used to and they stopped.
Ah, okay. Okay, is that it, Dave?
Yeah.
All right, thank you much. Adrian?
I'll be giving a presentation at the Ann Arbor Public Library. I think, Amy came to set me up to do a presentation on the nightscapes that I do. And, also working my connections with David Eicher, I will be writing an article for Astronomy Magazine. The
All right.
deadline for my article is April 15th. So he wanted 15 of my best images and an article about how I got into astronomy and especially landscape astrophotography, nightscapes. So sometime, we're guessing either August or sometime like in 2024, yours truly will have an article in Astronomy Magazine.
Cool.
I love it.
And if I know when it's gonna run, I'll let everybody.
Can we still
know.
talk to you then after that, or?
Nope.
That's what I
I go full-time Warren Astronomical Society and I leave you guys in the dust. So
Yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen.
screw you guys and going over there. And
At
I,
least we'll know why now.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, no, it's a great opportunity and we'll see. I've been promised to get some of these speakers in and I keep not doing it, but I guess if I talk to, who's got the calendar for speakers? that
We
have?
are covered up until September.
September?
Yeah.
Okay,
September.
so I have to talk to all the folks to see if their calendars are open in September.
By the way, Adrian, what's the
You
status
can
on your
do- I
book?
continue to do the Explore Scientific Global Star Parties, which is where I share my images along with a bunch of the astronomers, some professionals, some not. David Eicher is there. There's an astrophotographer, Gary Palmer. You may have heard. Gary Palmer is one of the astrophotographers that took the beautiful image of the green comet C222E3. David Levy has said we should just name it Comet Zwicky, and I agree with him. And so some of those images have gone around to the public, but we've all agreed that that comet never got much brighter than, a speck. And it was during full moon, so if you didn't look at it, there was a couple of nights ago where prior to moonrise, where you had a decent view through binoculars. And if you didn't see it then,
Yeah, that one night I got a pretty good view of it.
yep, that's probably one of the best views we're gonna get.
Yeah.
There are some images out there that have this thing looking as big as Neowise. Those are fake. They're fun. They're really cool looking images, but that comet never
Yeah.
got that bright. So it was fun. There is another Zwicky comet, and David Levy was able to spot it, I think, a couple nights ago. Much fainter, magnitude 11. That's that's probably at least a Bortle 3 SQM meter 21.4, 21.5 object with enough aperture. So that one will be a challenge if you want to go after it. If Nate Murphy listens to this, he'll go after it over in Denver, but so that other comet is still in the sky. It's kind of moved along towards Perseus, I think. But other than that,
I think it's dropping here, the one we're talking about.
Adrian, when is your talk?
Never now, isn't it?
no, that's actually the first one.
Okay.
E3, that's the first that's E3.
When
Yeah,
is your talk at the Ann Arbor Library?
it's in March. I forget the date. I'll have to email the date because I put it. I might have it in here.
Hey,
Put it in
Adrian,
calendar.
what's the status of your book?
Actually,
My grandson's out with me.
I'd say that was actually a very bright comet.
When I started.
And you can see a comet with binoculars inside a city that's 100 and some odd thousand. That's a bright comet.
Right, but compared to the 2 years ago,
Oh, yeah, you're gonna compare it to Neo.
yeah, and that's my
Yeah.
problem. I compared it to Neowise.
Naked eye comment.
Yeah, Neowise was a naked eye comet. You could see it at Broward Nature. Yeah, and then in the 90s, you had Hale-Bopp and you could see it from Michigan Stadium with the
Yeah.
lights on, so
Yeah.
fine bright.
Could you actually?
I think so.
Yes, the Hale-Bopp was,
Next to its street light, you can see Hale-Bopp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as the sun went down, it was.
Hayakataki wasn't bad either.
Oh, yeah.
That was
That thing just pitched out like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Yeah, there were like two huge comets in a row. So Hollywood made two movies depicting the destruction of Earth one by a comet, one by an asteroid.
But 1976. Best. Also visible during twilight.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
And
Of that kind.
everyone ignored what anybody was saying because the year before,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
which I can't even remember the name,
What are you talking about?
75.
Yeah, it was supposed to
Everyone-
be this great comet and it was
I'll think of
nothing.
Oh, yeah, Kohoutek, you mean?
Kohoutek.
But Kohoutek was visible.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kohoutek was visible naked eye. There was just one problem. It was December and January. It was literally clear for only like 3 hours
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the state of Michigan
Yeah.
that year. And there was somebody in the club, that said, yes, I was out that night and I saw it naked eye. I forget what they're telling
We
me.
saw the
We're
negative.
gonna,
but it was-
we're gonna have plenty of.
But that.
We'll get several more coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I predict one in the next, at least the next 2 years, if not sooner. Well, that's it for my report.
Okay.
Comments are fun. Yep. I can't find.
Jack.
Well, so far the observatory is, guess I'll say doing all right. I went out there the other day and everything seemed to be okay. Seem to be having any problems with anything and no more spray painting the walls or anything like that. So everything looking pretty good right now. And then the sideline, we've been working on the 17.5 inch, doing work on that. So sometime, I don't know, it'll be mid-March or exactly when, we'll be returning it back to the observatory.
This is a dog.
Yeah, it's 17.5 inch, yeah. And then I know there's a group or people that wanted to take it out to Lake Hudson for the Messier Marathon. And I guess a lot of this all depends on the weather. But other than that, the observatory is in pretty good shape.
It's great.
Good. That's all I have to say for right now.
Thank you, Jack. And our treasurer Doug Scoble was not able to join us tonight. It's really funny. He moved to Traverse City so he could start wintering over in Florida. Yeah, I'm envious though. Anyway.
Me too.
But he did send in an email report and turns out we've got lots of money in the treasury. And I'm disappointed to say we do not have 200 club members, but we got 199.
Well, we're getting there.
We'll be at 200 pretty quick, yeah.
Gotta add you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, we got
Could be 50.
folks online. We got some folks here.
Yeah, we have
About
13
club.
Zoom and 15 here in person.
I get 28,
So, yeah.
so
Yep, Jack. broke the hotel back in
10
September.
cents 20, so.
So let's see if we can hear Jim,
Yeah, Jim's turn.
because I haven't heard anyone from the meeting. So go ahead, Jim.
I've been working with Jack and Doug Nell and Don Foey.
Yeah, we're not hearing you.
Not hearing it?
Hold on, Jim.
We got room volume.
Hello, hello.
Oh, there
All
you go.
Hey.
You all were on
Um,
this whole time. We didn't want any of you to speak, so.
Yeah.
Do it.
Well, that's fine with me, but most of what I've been doing the past month has been with the group working on the 17.5 inch telescope, Jack and Don Foey, Doug Nell, Dave Jorgensen and myself. With some helpful hints via email from Doug Scoble. The telescope is almost ready to go. We'll be assembling it and testing the systems on Tuesday. And hopefully, we will give it its, first light with all the new dew heaters for the Messier Marathon in March. One of us will haul it out there and set it up. I'm not sure which one of us it'll be, but we'll figure that out. The cost has been quite a bit less than we anticipated, not because we, got free stuff or came up with some lowbrow kludge. The Canadian dollar is very, very weak against the US dollar. So what we were basing our estimates for the club on was Canadian dollars. And so we spent about 60% of what we thought we'd have to. And so we're happy about that. And that's all I've got.
Come in under budget, that wouldn't work for the government, would it?
Well, it would work for the government, but they shoot their telescopes into space. So it's a bit of a different challenge than what we have.
Okay, is that it, Jim?
That's it.
Thank you much. And next up would be Jeff, but I got a feeling Jeff is not actually able to talk to us, but I'll give you just a second, just in case.
Hey, Jeff, we got the mute problem worked out. It only took us an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk from the Zoom, you can talk now. Going once,
Yeah,
going. Okay, we have his report from the chat.
yeah, I think he's frozen there, so. Okay, does anybody have anything else?
I guess I would just add what Jim said. They were doing a lot of work because there were a lot of things that were about to bust or were busted on that scope, and they put a lot of work on it. It's not just in fact, the anti-doing really just been like the last couple of weeks, I think. There were a lot of small nitpicky things that were busted on it. And that's what they spent a lot of time on mostly.
So what you're saying is everything but the mirror was in pretty rough shape.
No,
Well,
but there
about the
were,
mirror.
there were things that just weren't working right, and there was something to decide. What encoder? It was the altitude, right? The altitude encoder was plain busted.
Yeah, that's still a mystery to solve. We've lost 2 altitude encoders on this telescope, when almost everybody else in the world never loses an altitude encoder or any other encoder on their telescope. And so we don't know why they've been breaking for us. We've been trying to protect them, and that's one of the things we'll work on this coming Tuesday.
But otherwise, yeah, we're ready just to put the thing back together.
Cool.
Real quick, big star parties coming up. The winter star party is going right now. One of these days, maybe I'll go there, but
That's nice. Like,
yep, it's at a time period where you can see Crux in the horizon. It gets down to just as basically you can see Alpha and Beta Centauri and Crux, and you hit the horizon. So you don't get, I don't know if you can see Eta Carinae from down there. And if you've been there, Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can see Omega Centauri. It's on the horizon, but you can see it from there.
yeah. I think you can also see Crux. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get down deep. I'm surprised that when Orion's up, you don't see the Magellanic Clouds, but I guess you just miss them
Just below it.
just below the horizon.
Magellanic Clouds are south of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so but do you see Canopus?
Canopus, you can see.
You can see Canopus, third brightest star, second brightest star that we see. So you can see Canopus. I guess you hit the horizon and the large Magellanic Cloud is like right here, right below horizon. So you have to go further south. to
Just
see
carve
that.
a chunk out of the earth.
Or find, fly way up in an airplane or something. I don't know, but either way, well, with my passport, I gotta figure out one of these days I'm going to Argentina.
South America or South or.
Yeah, I am going to South America at some point. I don't know. So that's our party. There's the Nebraska Star Party, which is usually in June, I believe. High wind, but I think they just got their Bortle 1 or no, International Dark Sky Park at their location. They say Bortle 1, but Bortle 1, you have to have an SQM reading of 22 and above. The dark spaces here in Michigan go to 21.2 here, 21 point, I suspect it'll be 21.4 or 5 up here. When I get there, I'll let you know. Okie-Tex, Jim and I always go and we meet Nate Murphy. A few of them, you have been there a couple years ago. Don made it in a couple years ago. SQM readings 21.99 at the best that we've seen. So as close to Bortle 1 as some of you may see if you've never seen a sky look like that. You're at elevation and lots of things are way brighter than you can see them here. That will be mid-September since the annular eclipse is near the end of September. So they moved up the star party. So warning, it will be hot during the day. Usually that star party's later September, early October, but they moved it up so that people can then go try and see the annular solar eclipse. And
Now,
the solar.
the
Go
other
ahead.
thing, yeah, the other thing about Camp Billy Joe being at the tip of the Oklahoma Panhandle next to New Mexico, after the first week in October, the weather deteriorates there. And in fact, it can deteriorate earlier, and we've experienced that, but especially after that first week in October. So they generally don't go later than that first week because the weather becomes far more iffy. Those, weeks in August and September through the very beginning of October, those are usually pretty pleasant. The skies are good, but as Adrian said, you get to the middle of the month or earlier, and it's just plain hot. So if you have trouble with the heat, I'd advise you to be very careful if you want to go, because the days are just hard. That in mind, some of us have reserved spaces already at the state park a few miles away, and we'll come in the evenings to observe, but our days will be spent there in the shade that the state park has, of which there is zero on the field at Camp Billy Joe.
We've got hookups to electricity and water. Too, so
But you're never gonna have darker skies at a star party than
yeah, the skies
Okay,
turn.
Josh.
Have you been, Doug? Have you been out to
I haven't been.
Yeah, the sky color actually changes. Here, you've got kind of a metallic blue and then you start getting more contrast. You start getting into gray. So at the tip of the night, it's a grayish sky. You're seeing.
Is there anyone here that's been to both the Okie-Tex and Texas Star Party?
No, I have.
I've been
not
to the
been
Texas Star Party and
Yeah,
it was
those,
crazy to go down south to actually look at something that's overhead up here because it's so much darker there.
yeah, it is darker, but I think you're talking like 21.6 versus 21.9.
And I was at a place on the Keys in.
Yeah, the Keys get to 21.3, so it's still good. And
But-
because of your location,
But where I wasn't where they hold the
the Star Party.
Winter Star Party. No, it's actually darker.
Yeah.
Which key?
Via Honda, I was on the state
Oh,
park.
okay.
Okay. So it's probably a little darker.
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing there.
Yeah, once you get into Key West, you get a little bit more light.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you use the Milky Way as your indicator, you start to see shape, color, a little bit of color, and it has a look like a picture, but it's faint. That's when you're in Bortle 3 to very high Bortle 4. If you go to up here, State Park, you see structure, but you don't see the dust lanes aren't as defined. They blend in with the sky. When you at Okie-Tex, dust lanes are very apparent. The nebula like M8 visible. You may be able to see you'll definitely see the Sagittarius star cloud, the small one. The core region's bright. You see the dust lanes trailing into the Rho-Ophiuchi complex. You see that naked eye. And you see all of the other quadrants of the Milky Way as well, naked eye. You can see the North American Nebula. You don't see the color, but you see the structure, naked eye, when you're at, once you get to high Bortle 2, and then put on your binoculars, it's even more fun. And then start looking for HA regions in galaxies like M33. You're looking for HA regions. Nate says he's got 15 of them or something, you know, so yeah, what you can see differs, and you know, according to your eyesight, you know, it goes up in visibility. So a lot of observation. There is a lot of astrophotography. Try to get there early and park where you can avoid it. We got lucky last year, Jim, because we avoided a lot of the red light of the astrophotography. 1 year, I think you put a fire hose on a couple of folks that turned on their lights in the middle of trying to troubleshoot their astrophotography rigs. We didn't have that problem last year, but we had to beat down some people a year before because they cut on the bright lights and we were sitting there trying to observe. So there's no separation on the field. You just try and be somewhere where there are not a lot of astrophotography rigs, including myself. I always hide behind the behind some car somewhere or an RV. We saw in a what was it, a 20-inch obsession, Jim? We saw
18.
the 18-inch obsession. We saw the horse head naked eye. We saw Thor's helmet naked eye. We did have a filter on there to bring out some of those features, but those get imaged all the time, but seeing it naked eye, there's something different about that. So
Seeing Thor's helmet through the eyepiece was quite a treat. That was one of the highlights of the star party.
yeah, I thought we were gonna make that gentleman a member. I don't know if we ever did, but I think we were in serious talks with having him become a member.
Yeah,
See him again. We'll continue those talks.
yeah, we'll see him again this coming year, I think.
Anybody have anything else?
Charlie?
Yes.
Eddie Hernandez, our newest member.
And
As of
still,
yesterday, earlier today, or
Yesterday.
So I guess we did hit 200.
no, he's 199, I
He's
think.
he's 199, okay.
and still a member even after coming here?
Well, we'll see if he comes back.
Well, he's stuck to the first.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah. Well, if you make it through a Ken Bertin talk, we know you'll be back. You make it through that, you'll make it through anything else we can throw at you.
Anything else?
Hear from my buddy in April.
Pardon me?
The speaker that's coming from April is my fraternity brother,
Oh, how cool.
Dr. Morgenthaler.
Oh, excellent. Anything else? Here, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Well, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone on the Zoom. Thank you all for jumping in.
Good night,
And
Adjourned at 9, I guess you call it.
what is the date of the Star Party, Jim? Or Star Party, the Messier Marathon, Jim?
If we'll go, the two dates are, primary date is the 18th
Yeah.
of March. The
25th.
backup date is the 25th. First clear night wins it.
Okay. I gotta. My talk's on the 30th at the Ann Arbor District Library.
Okay.
So for those who would like to come and see me show off all the pictures. That is.
Are you're at the downtown branch?
I'll give some more information. I am going to assume, yes, Ann Arbor District Library. On 6 p.m. to 7, Thursday, March 30th. Yeah.
Bunch of branches, but yeah. I guess I get observe. Look, it should be in the observer.
Yeah, Amy was gonna put all that stuff,
And have a
get some ads going. I filled out a W-9, all that other good stuff, so
size of the motor.
I will be,
Looking forward to it.
yeah, I'll, most of it will probably be content that you'll see months and months later in Astronomy Magazine.
I'm just
It'll give me a
looking
chance to
a type
share
of
that. I
motor
think you just,
where
oh no, they're still here.
Very slow.
So-
It's also-
So yeah, that's, and meanwhile, hopefully I'll have more images that I'll be able to add to it. But it'll be a fun talk and I'm kind of working on how I'll do it. I've had a theme called Chasing Dark Skies when I do my Explore Scientific stuff, so I'll probably use a similar theme when I do the presentation, using some slides from there and talking about SQM meters
I'm
and
go slow.
darkness and what you can get.
So a stepper motor would be.
And I'll figure out how I want to do it. I probably,
Because
it won't be very
I'd be
technical,
focusing on an area of sky
but
the size of that.
there will be pictures and Q&A and stuff like that.
And
So-
ideally.
Charlie, log out of the console.
Yeah, I'd move up with it. And the reason I want a joystick is. to-
Sounds like, Jeff was-
No,
Yeah.
too.
But,
Vector rocket launcher.
That's your opinion.
I never, ever
Well,
wanted to.
good night again.
Sure. Okay. All right, we're on our way out.
Okay, we're gonna end it here, so.
Give you to know. Here you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Meeting's doing